Hello and welcome back to the Rad Hyrox podcast. Today we are joined by some queens, the Rox Queens to be exact. They are a community in the UK dedicated to fostering connections and empowering female athletes. We're joined today by Caitlin, who's the founder, Lhea, who's the Northern Ambassador, and Bryony, who's the Scottish Ambassador. So welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's great to have you all on. I guess we would like to start by just hearing a little bit more about the Rox Queens, Caitlin. So maybe you can explain to all of our listeners where the idea came from, how it's come about, what you're trying to achieve, and just give us a little bit of background on that.
Definitely. So I'll take you back. It was a few weeks ago. It was a cold Wednesday night, and I was running around a running track by myself, doing a running program that my coach had given me. And I just felt a bit lonely. I felt a bit frustrated at my training. And I just thought, and I wondered if there were other female athletes feeling the same as me, who could be interested in meeting up and doing the workouts together, or just somebody that I could relate to who's also going through this. I'm sure we've all had friends that think we're crazy. They're like, why are you training this hard? You're obsessed. But actually, people that get that you're not obsessed, you're just driven to actually want to be the best version of yourself. So I got onto Instagram and sent a few DMs to some other female athletes in London, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that other people were feeling the same, and they told their friends, and they were like, let's start a community. And I remember thinking about starting a WhatsApp group, and I messaged a few of my friends and I said, do you mind joining this group? Because I'm scared that no one's going to join. So I'd be really grateful if you could join. So there's somebody in there when someone else joins, because people get scared to be the first. So they agreed. And it's funny now because they all message me and they're like, you didn't need us, because from that point onwards, as I started to message more people, I soon found that actually this was this was so much bigger than just London. This was a national, UK national thing. And it came to light that I couldn't manage this by myself. And I was thinking about who best to help me with this mission, and I was doing some research, and these gals on the call, I wanted people who are not just they're very well known in the Hyrox space. They're also female athletes. They have a community of themselves, and they will help me to kind of spread the message. And so managed to convince these guys to come on this crazy journey with me, and couldn't do it without them. So they look after various different aspects of the community. We have a whole load of newbies that Lhea looks after. And then, as we started to bring in people to make sure that everyone feels they can be involved, it was important to make sure we've got a kind of visibility and, I guess, representation from Scotland and Ireland. And that's exactly, and that's kind of how it evolved. And we have our own little team chat, and we kind of use that to keep each other updated. And it's been pretty epic over the last few weeks, just saying to each other, you won't believe it, we're now up to almost 500 members, or little anecdotes that come in on sort of people DM us being like, so grateful you created this community. And I think the girls will tell you more, but I think it's taken us by surprise about how much this was needed and how much of an impact it's already having on people's everyday, as well as in the lead up to their races. Lhea, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
I would just say, because I obviously look after the North and the newbies, with us, I think having that community of people who are just starting the Hyrox journey or even moving up in divisions, because especially in the newbies group, it's people not just like very, very beginner people. It's like people who've trained for years who are actually scared to actually get into something like Hyrox, but also scared of because they've got so used to doing the lifting in the gym, not necessarily combining the two like you need to with Hyrox. It was a bit like, do I do something like this, or am I going to embarrass myself? And I think having that community there of other people who are very much like-minded, very driven, and it's not necessarily just podium finishers, it's like people who want to do well for themselves and be that best version of themselves, which is absolutely amazing. And I think obviously Bryony will touch on this as well, but it's completely spread across the whole UK. It's not just London, not just Manchester, not just it's literally everywhere. And to see these women now thriving because they've got a community there, because let's be honest, girls love community. Like, we just love supporting each other. Like, we just do.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
Just having that and seeing people there and people coming up to us at events, like Bryony will notice, like in Scotland last week, like people coming up to me like, thank you for having this there. It's a bit like, it's a nice feeling inside that we're part of something so big as
and
well.
nice to give back to people
100%.
that maybe would never have even thought about trying Hyrox if they hadn't have been part of this community.
Agreed.
Yeah. So was it Glasgow, Bryony, that everyone was coming up to you at? What was it like in Glasgow?
So on the Friday, we'd arranged like a meetup prior, and we actually all got t-shirts, which Caitlin was awesome and arranged. So we all got Rox Queen t-shirts for the weekend.
Amazing.
And yeah, throughout Saturday and Sunday, and we were just like looking out for each other. So it was just nice. I think, as Caitlin and Lhea have said, like just people that are just like love what we love, and we're all so similar. So I had like having people come up to me, and I was spotting other people, and we just like, as soon as we met each other, we were just like high as kites. We were just delighted.
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I think Hyrox has brought that just in general, you know, the atmosphere at the races, and we've said it a lot, is just like electric, and everyone feels so welcome, and it doesn't matter what level you're competing at. Like, it's just a really nice community to be involved in. But so for each of you, maybe start with you, Caitlin. Have you raced Hyrox a few times, once, or are you solo, doubles? What's your kind of your personal, how did you get into Hyrox?
So yes, I did my first Hyrox Open in November in Amsterdam, and
nice.
yeah, which was awesome. I mean, as we all know, Hyrox is an excuse to travel, right? So
Yeah.
you book a flight, you go for a city break, and I was going through quite a difficult breakup at the time, and so my training became, I guess, a way to process that and something to kind of use this kind of new time productively, and I guess to give back to myself. So did that race and came fifth overall and got on the podium, which I wasn't expecting. So managed to get a ticket to Worlds, which is great, an expensive ticket, I might add. You see how much it is now. Yeah, but that was amazing. And actually on that course, I met our Irish ambassador, Erin. So she her and I were racing the whole time, and she was just ahead of me. So it's pretty awesome to know that she's now coming on this journey too. But when, and we can talk about this, but when you qualify and open, you automatically get upgraded to pro. Which was a bit of a surprise for me because it's sort of a different race, right? Like, it's different weights. And so I, ahead of Worlds in June, I'm now doing my first pro race in Copenhagen in 2 weeks' time, because I thought it'd be good to test the waters before Worlds. So that's what I'm doing. We've got a lot of queens coming out there with us, which is great. So we'll do a meetup out there. And it's nice. People are saying, you know, where are you staying? And, you know, what flight are you getting? So very different experience to when I went out to Amsterdam by myself. Yeah,
and that's such a good point you make about the change, like from doing an open race to doing Worlds. And like last year we did the last open at London and then qualified for Worlds, and 2 weeks later we had totally different weights and totally different we were just like, shit, like I don't even know whether I can move the sled. So I think being able to practice and get ready for it, but then also having your community to let people know that might happen. So, you know, they might qualify for Worlds, someone in your, you know, Rox Queens community, and not realize that the weights change. So just having the support of you guys there to say, you know, you might want to book another race, or you might want to start training differently. It's that kind of thing. Hey,
totally. And I think it's that education about like not overtraining. Like, I think we're all guilty of it. You know, but I saw a lot of the Elite 15, like they get, from what I understand, you know, you might get a last minute opportunity to race if somebody else pulls out who's quicker than you.
Yeah.
So I think it was Jake who just got on a plane with like 3 days to go to Washington. And completely appreciate like the opportunity, but also I guess you're jet lagged and, you know, you haven't really trained properly, so it's weighing it all up. But it's good, I guess, to have those conversations now with a wider community that can kind of help you, I guess, look at the pros and the cons. But yeah, that's a bit about me. What about you guys? Lhea, what's kind of your Hyrox background?
So with me, I started Hyrox in Manchester last year. I did my first doubles. I actually did pretty well, like considering I did all my training myself. I was like, this is too bad. So did all right. Then I had Glasgow, but for 2 weeks later, like Caitlin said, stupid idea. Solo as well this time. I was like,
Wow.
what the hell have I got myself in for now? I was like, great. And I managed to beat our doubles time by a few minutes. And I was like,
No way.
Nuts.
no, I don't know. I think it's because Glasgow's a faster course. Like Bryony, you'll know as well, because obviously you've raced up there. It's a faster course because it's technically 2 laps rather than 3.
Yeah, it's 3 and a bit, isn't it? Like
Well, it's
Manchester was
technically
quite
2.
weird, isn't it?
It's technically 2 because you only, so it's like you'll go out of the inn. This is where it can get confusing when you're listening to this. So you'll go out of the inn and then you'll go past it once and then
Go past it twice and then go in the
and then you
next.
go in. So
Yeah.
it's technically 2 laps. So it's actually very, very fast course. So that's probably why I PB'd it. Then I accidentally fell into World Championships because my friend who also raced in doubles in Glasgow, her partner got injured. So she messaged me. She was like, I really, really want to do it. It's only in Manchester at Worlds. She was like, can you do it? I was like, yeah, that's fine. At the time, I didn't realise it was pro weights either. So I was like, shit, right. Right, we're going to have to step it up a notch now. So 8 weeks before, I'm there training for Worlds. And do you know what? Same course, I managed to get a 12-minute PB
Whoa,
with
12
pro
minutes.
weight in doubles. And I was like, right, okay,
With,
so this is what I
with
can do.
heavier weights.
With heavyweights, I was like, this is all right, this. So then I made the bold decision to then only do pro women solos now going forward rather than doing open, because I actually personally prefer the heavyweights. Now, I think that's probably because I've come from more of a strength training background, so I can use that to my advantage. The downside is obviously the runs do get slower because obviously you're pushing a heavier load. So then my running has to increase, which isn't a bad thing. Did London, I did relay actually in Birmingham. Loved it. Highly recommend a relay to anyone. It's just so much fun. Like it's fast, like very fast, but so much fun. Then I went and did London on 4 weeks' notice because I'd already been training with the pro weights. I was kind of ready to do it. It was just the fact that my final 4 weeks of training had to be a little bit more intense. So I tapered, did that, and I did my first solo. Like it was the best race I've ever had. Like I enjoyed it so much. I had so much fun with it. I didn't feel gassed. I didn't put any pressure on myself because I booked it 4 weeks before. Then did Manchester, got injured. I was already injured in December and it just flared the injury up even more. So I've only just got back to training now. So I don't know if I'm doing London or not yet. I've got my ticket. I don't know if I'm doing it or not yet because of that. Because I'm just petrified of getting re-injured. And that is up from overtraining and going too fast too quick and not also having the right running trainers, which I thought was right, but you have to obviously, because the amount, all you girls will know, the amount we have to run, your trainers, you need new trainers all the time. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll come to a question on shoes and trainers later. So we'll start with you, Lhea, when we get there.
yeah, please. But yeah, that's kind of mine's quite long-winded to be fair. So yeah, kind of veteran of it now.
I know, I think you might be, to be honest.
I mean, I love it. I think you've done what, a doubles, a open, a pro, a relay. Like, try them all. I love it. Yeah.
I need mixed doubles. Any man wants to do it with me.
Yeah, you need to get that in there. Like, you're ticking them off. I mean, we're doing a relay hopefully later on in the year. With a couple of lads. Yeah, Madrid with a couple of lads, and we are buzzing for that because I think like we haven't done a relay yet, and everyone we've spoken to has said you have to do one because it's such good fun, such good crack, and like a different kind of race. So, yeah, excited for that one. But Bryony, what about you? When did you first get into Hyrox?
So Glasgow last week marked my 1 year anniversary. So I did Glasgow last year, was my first one, which was a double. And I guess very similar to the girls, secured way into Worlds and from the very first race I ever did, although I didn't then actually go on to compete in Manchester. But after Glasgow, I did do London Single Open. And I think that must have been, was it around maybe the May time?
Yeah.
I guess from like my background, I've lost quite a lot of weight, and I just wanted to focus over the summer. Then I didn't compete again until it would have been Malmo at the very end of September. So I had competed in the May, and then I actually didn't do anything then again until I think it was like the 30th September, and I jumped straight up to the pro. And I wanted just to like challenge myself. I'd known like I'd lost quite a lot of weight, everything was improving. So I did so surprised, like I came away second overall. And then
Well
I guess
done.
thank you. So I guess from there I've just been focusing on the pro. I did Frankfurt, which was in December, and like I PB'd my time there, so I was an hour 7 there. And it's not all an up trajectory. I then competed in Manchester, and I ran an extra lap. So
Oh no.
no, that's a lie. I didn't run an extra lap. I ran worse, one too little. So I got a 5-minute penalty.
Oh, you didn't get away with it.
So
No.
annoying.
Get away with it. So I got a 5-minute penalty, but then on top of that, I think like subconsciously, because I know like I'd blown it, I just ran everything so hard after that. And then that just takes me to last weekend, my 1-year Hyrox anniversary. And yeah, so then that was last weekend. So they did pretty well at that, and then we're here.
Oh,
wow.
amazing. Yeah. Well, we've covered a lot between the three of you, like a lot of venues, a lot of races.
A lot of air miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I love it. I mean, I can't wait for some of the questions later about favorite venues and stations and things, but we'll leave them for just now. And Caitlin, how can people get involved? You know, hearing you guys talk about, you know, where you are in the world and what you're doing, how can people join the community and maybe meet up with you guys at races or in other ways?
Yeah, so the link to join our WhatsApp group is in all of our bios. So we'll share those with you, I'm sure, as part of this podcast recording, but also on our Rox Queens page. When you join, you can select as many groups as you want to join. We have the announcement group, which is kind of everyone about our major events. Then we have like all the different groups for key races, and then also for different areas across the UK. And it's only our first month, so it's all a little bit of an experiment. I have actually been looking up how many people you can have in a WhatsApp group, because that might be a problem for us guys. Like, you know, once we hit over 1,000. So yeah, so for now that is the plan. But if it's an update, I'll definitely be sure to pass it on.
Yeah, amazing. And how incredible
on,
that you've only been going like a month. Like it's awesome to see. It's grown so fast.
Yeah, it's mad. But yeah, it's so exciting. You can really feel the momentum, and I think it'd be interesting to see what the others think. But it's the little moments that I think are really important in this journey, and also in Hyrox, that are very good to kind of keep front of mind. You know, you can kind of get a bit caught up on the end goal, like the end race. And so, you know, we've got this vision of what this community could be. But I guess those little snippets of someone saying, I was like, how did you hear about us? And somebody worked in a hospital in Scotland, and they were like, my patient said to me that their daughter was part of this community. Somebody else messaged and said, you know, I've just sort of had my baby, and I've been feeling a bit self-conscious about getting back into training. The community is exactly what I need right now to give me that reassurance that now is the right time to get back into fitness. That's what this is all about, you know, having that wider impact and that support. So that's been great. Bryony, do you have like a standout moment so far for you? Maybe there's a snippet in your group that stood out to you.
Really, it's before Glasgow, is like there were so many questions and like just like uncertainty, because there was like a lot of people's first time. And then from discussing it all, having our chat, like reassuring everyone was so much like we now know what to expect, and it's one less thing to worry about, and just they had a better idea, because it's even like the little things that some people just do not know. Like, for example, the wristband actually is the same color as your kettlebells that you will be carrying.
Oh,
So,
I
like,
didn't know that.
Yeah. So
There we
you get
go.
so like the white wristband for like women's open, that because the kettlebells are
Oh, right.
white, and then it goes grey, and then I think black is it. I can't remember, but it goes grey. I don't know what the men's pro is. And just little like hints and tips like that.
Mm.
And I was like, that's so useful.
I think the like going into a Hyrox, because it's in a stadium or like, you know, in a convention center, it is a very like big, loud atmosphere. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. And if you're just walking in there on your own, and it's like a big step for you to get there, to have some people to support you, or people to be there to like explain how things work, or like you said, just give you these little hints and tips. It's like probably the difference to somebody signing up or not signing up. I think we found it all right because we went as a doubles, so we had each other, so like we didn't have a clue what was going on. We didn't know how to put the strap around our ankle, like, and all the volunteers are amazing, but it's just trying to take away these little barriers, isn't it? Which is, I guess, what the Rox Queens is doing, is taking away barriers to make it just a bit more accessible, and maybe make someone think they might go and do it, instead of, like you said, Lhea, when people are deciding whether they want to do it or not, or they feel self-conscious, or they're not sure that they can make that step into Hyrox, whether they're going to embarrass themselves. If they've got somebody there to support them, then it just makes that a little bit easier, and they probably will go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Caitlin, you mentioned that the reason you were thinking about or you thought about starting this was because you were running on the track on your own and thinking, why am I doing this alone? There's got to be loads of other people in the same position. Is there anything that you guys have set up, or you may be thinking to in the future, where people can come and like train together, or is it more of the community so people can meet each other to then maybe train like together but separately, if that makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a bit of both. So you have this kind of online support space, but in addition to that, you have local meetups in person. So last weekend, we had our first meetup in Ireland, which was amazing. So girls came together there. Next Saturday, we have one in London, and we either kind of run them in-house, or we bring in Hyrox experts and gurus who we have in our network to come in and deliver like workshops, or help us with kind of workout creation. And then in terms of, for you guys, for the Lhea, do we have a date for the Northern meetup?
Yes, so the North is also next weekend as well.
Epic.
So yeah, pretty much the same as what Caitlin said. We'll be doing exactly the same as what London are. We're gonna try and coincide with London, so it's like a big thing, but UK basically, North and South.
And on the meetup, sorry to jump in, the like it's just everyone getting together, or is it just to actually meet people, like you say, a meetup, or is it to do a run or do any training, or it's just?
So we're, like Caitlin said, so it's a meetup with either gurus, experts within Hyrox, or what we'll be doing is we'll be holding like a training session, or a track session, or a run, and then like us all girls love to do, coffee, cake, food afterwards.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Can't be something to do with coffee and cake.
You've got
after,
to earn your caffeine.
Yeah. Oh no, it sounds really good. Like such a good thing to create, and hopefully a lot of people will jump on board and get involved, and it's a really good way to meet like-minded people. So what about then future goals, whether it's individually or whether it's as Rox Queens? Where do you see yourself or this going? Maybe start with you, Caitlin.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me personally, if I think about like one of the aspirations for starting this, like, tick to meeting like-minded people, and tick to no longer feeling alone, like that in itself is a massive win. So I'm excited I feel very much involved with the Hyrox family. There's so much more that we would like to do with this. So yeah, integrating into Hyrox more broadly. But it's a community for female athletes, and Hyrox is obviously a very popular sport at the moment, but it's not the only one. It's not the only one that people are racing for. So I think there's lots of different avenues that we can take this. We've spoken also about, although we have local events, we'd like to kind of bring everyone together, whether it's quarterly, and do maybe like mini festivals or like throwdowns, and actually get people coming together from across the UK, which I think would be pretty awesome. So that
would be amazing.
Yeah, that's something that we're thinking about too. And I think we need to walk before we run, but I think there could be an interesting avenue about the next generation of Rox Queens as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
What about for you guys, Lhea, from your side?
So it's pretty much the same as Caitlin. Like, I think me and Caitlin are very, very clear on like the vision. Like, we both want this to grow as much as possible, because like I keep saying this, but there's nothing better than girls supporting girls. Like, there's just not. Like, screaming for the other girls on the sidelines and recognizing someone from the group or the team. It's like, for them to have that little bit of a perk up in the race, and when they could be having like their moments of self-doubt in the race at that point. You don't know what's going through their head. They look like they're dying, and then you're just like, right, come on, push yourself. And then they hear you or someone, and then they recognize you, like, right, okay, I've got to keep going now. Now, having that is going to push people to become that best version of themselves. And like me, within my own coaching community, within my clientele, that is something that I strive for everyone to be, because I believe anyone can become that best version of themselves and become that person that they never thought they could be. All they have to do is be pushed by the right people around them, and having the Rox Queens there is just making that even more accessible for them as well. So yeah, I'm very much on the same wavelength as Caitlin on that one.
Yeah, no, that's ace. That's really good. What about you, Bryony? Come on, do it for the Scottish girls. We got to get them involved.
Yeah, no, and that's it exactly. So very similar, echoing Caitlin and Lhea. Like, the biggest thing is going to be our community event. So we do have one coming in Scotland. It will be April, but just the date is to be confirmed. And I guess, as both of you will know, Scotland, like, it covers a very large geography. So
Yeah.
it's going to be like managing, like, so the first one will be down Glasgow way, but then obviously we've got then like Aberdeen and Inverness.
Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's then just growing it and expanding it to different locations as well. So yeah, it's like really exciting times ahead.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay, maybe we should go a little bit more into the racing Hyrox then. I mean, you've already given us a great top tip, Bryony, knowing what the wristband actually means that we didn't know. But maybe we could get another top tip from each of you for anyone racing Hyrox. Like, what would you say to them? Either a newcomer or someone that's been in it for a while. What do you think's a good tip?
I have two. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can have two.
Okay.
I love this.
Of course.
Em was like, we'll stick to 3 top tips from anyone, like max 3. And then we did a first episode with just us two, and I think I went to like 5. And then every time we spoke to someone's going, I've got a few more, and we're like, yeah, go for it.
In my head, I was like, which one do I choose?
Yeah,
do both. Come on,
you can
let's
do
get them out
there.
Okay, so my 2 top tips. So obviously, one of the first one's going to be test your on the day nutrition. A couple weeks before, so it emulate the day. So the breakfast that you're going to have, how much caffeine you're going to have, your snacks, so that nothing is a surprise as to kind of how your body reacts to it. So that's been really key for me. People underestimate the power of nutrition, but it is so key to unlock your optimal performance. So definitely look into that. And then my other tip, and this is from personal experience, is I'm sure we all use Garmin's Apple Watches for running in the arena. From my experience in Amsterdam, the signal wasn't working.
They didn't work.
Yeah. So
I
thought I was running at a time that I wasn't, and it just, because I wasn't expecting it, it really threw me off. So my tip on that is either to, as you go and do each lap, you just sort of toggle it so you know you've done a lap, or just to be sort of like cognitively alert and just keep an eye on the clock and just be kind of manually working out your time, because that unfortunately cost me quite considerably. I just obviously went by how my legs were feeling, which was a bit slower than I thought. So they're my tips.
Great tips. I mean, you always feel like you're flying, don't you? And then
Yes.
someone flies past you and you're like, ah, shit, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How about you, Lhea?
I've got two again, to be fair. So sorry.
No, do it. I'm all for this.
So first and foremost, I cannot stress enough, and Bryony will probably agree, and Caitlin as well. Do not go into Hyrox without any training. Like, just don't do it. It's just stupid. Even if you're wanting to just do well for yourself, highly recommend that you find some sort of a plan from somewhere, or piece yourself at least a bit of a plan, because you go into that, you're gonna die. Like, I was literally, I cannot tell you. So I was judging in Glasgow on the lunges on the Saturday. I'm not being funny. The girls absolutely bossed it. Like, absolutely bossed it. The men, however, DNFing on the lunges. Like, guys,
Oh, really?
Honestly, I've never seen many DNFs and people being sick in my life. Honestly,
Wow.
I swear to God, it was ridiculous. But what do men do? They don't prepare. They do not prepare for anything.
No.
So take it from my first-hand experience. Please, 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 just train, and train in a good way. Also, as well, like, off the back of Caitlin with the nutrition, like, nutrition is so important in general. Like, it can elevate your performance, or it can completely deplete your performance. And with that being said, hydration, like, no one prepares you for the dry mouth that you get when you do Hyrox. Like,
Yeah, fair.
no one does, because them arenas are dry, they're hot, they're sweaty. And when you're running around, you start foaming at the mouth. Can get that bad. I've seen it, and it's happened to me as well. But hydrate yourself. Like, it is so important. That the thing is, when, for example, because with my nutritionist, we've done this, so I know, like, for example, you weigh yourself before you do a training session. This is a bit of a tip, to be fair, like, with training pre-Hyrox. Like, if you get on the scales before training and weigh yourself, doesn't matter what weight you are, and then weigh yourself after a heavy Hyrox session, and say, for example, there's a kilo difference, that shows that you've lost a litre of water whilst training. Now, to actually rehydrate yourself, you need to actually double the amount of what you've lost. So you need to drink then 2 litres on top of that to rehydrate yourself to back to normal. There you go.
Noted.
I'm getting thirsty, just like listening to it. I can feel my mouth right now.
So once you've done that, I'm not saying go away and weigh yourself and stuff, but just make sure that you're hydrating yourself optimally, because soon as it's basically like dry, do you know, like dried prunes? You put a prune in an oven, it dries up. That's what your body's basically gonna do.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
basically
true.
what your body and your muscle tissues are gonna do. So as soon as you get into the race, you're already fatigued and you're knackered.
It
So
is true,
really
yeah.
hydrate yourself.
And hydrating yourself with water, an electrolyte drink. What do you recommend?
Water, like,
Yeah.
electrolytes, yeah. If you're gonna be running for like an hour and a half, like, yeah. But to be fair, you don't actually need to buy the supplements. Orange juice and a bit of salt, Himalayan pink salt in there, it does just as much. In fact, it does more than what an actual electrolyte does. So you don't need to go buy fancy electrolytes. You can just get some. It doesn't taste very nice, but it
Get
does
it in you.
does the job.
Yeah, perfect.
Do you guys take the Red Bull in the
No.
dead zone?
No.
No.
So with it,
it's too fizzy as well. Like, I mean, the only time I ever drink Red Bull is with a Jaeger shot when I'm skiing.
but it makes me dehydrated. So I think that's also a tip. Like, I actually think avoid because
and it's fizzy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the caffeine hit probably won't even hit you till you're finished.
And then you'll be buzzing.
Yeah.
Which you are anyway. So
yeah.
So I'll also do 2 tips. So because I can.
Yeah,
so
why not?
Number one, I would say, like, heel lock and your trainers. So you can YouTube it. It's very easy to do. You're just using the very top hole in your trainers, especially for like the sled push like when you are pushing, your heel is much more likely to pop out the back of your shoes if you just don't have that in place. So I would say heel lock your trainers, and as I say, just give it a little Google on YouTube if you don't know how to do it, but it'll take you about 20 seconds to do.
And do you use that for running as well, Bryony? Like a heel lock on your trainers? Do you use that? Like I know that's been used in running as well, not just the sled, so it might help you when you're doing your running as well. Or
I use it for everything now.
Use it for everything.
Yeah, and I actually didn't used to until it was given as like a tip for Hyrox, and now I do it for absolutely everything. Yeah.
I don't mind it until I try and take my trainers off after a run or something and I can't get my foot out.
Yeah.
Then I get really frustrated.
Proper like unlace it.
Yeah.
And then my second tip would be, well, personally, I always carry chalk on me in a race. For example, at Manchester as well, I was not racing until it was almost 7 p.m. And by the end of the day, quite often that the chalk might be, so we use that all finished. So I always ran with a bit of chalk and just like a bit of a cube in my sock, and so I can just pull that out if I need. But actually, Glasgow, I didn't need it. There was so much chalk, so that was great. So sometimes you don't always need it, but it's there for emergencies.
Yeah, because I think they did run out of Birmingham, didn't they? Was it Birmingham that they ran out at? And so there was a big thing at one of the races, and about the chalk running out. So, Bryony, you'd have like smashed it. Ready and I'm off. Like, how's she still holding on to those kettlebells?
Bryony's like hoarded all the chalk.
Yeah. Brilliant. I mean, there are some awesome tips, to be fair. Like, I think you should join the Rox Queens just for that. And I mean, I think it's a real shame you haven't started up a lads, WhatsApp group, which I think you might need to, just to be like, how to get past the lunges or something, or how to get to the wall balls.
Do you know, we've been asked, it's funny actually, some guys have approached us and been like, can we enter? And I'm like, no.
Set up your own group.
Yeah, this is the one group in society that you can't come in.
Queens only.
Queens only.
They can take those tips though from this, can't they? They can listen to this and they can take your tips. And maybe next time, Lhea, when you're on the lunges, you might see a few more get past it and get to the wall balls.
Yeah, probably called quite a few out there, haven't I?
I feel like by the time you get to the lunges, you're nearly there. You're on that home straight. Like you should be able to crawl.
I know. Yeah, just push through. Even if you walk, like it doesn't matter, just finish.
Yeah, just get there. You've done like all the hard work.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this leads us on nicely to talk about physical and mental strength.
Good one, Em. Good one.
Just snuck that in there. So we always try and ask our guests whether they think Hyrox is physical or mental or a bit of both or the split, and what your opinion of it, of how to maybe train like mentally as well as physically. And I mean, generally they say women are very good with their mental strength. That's why a lot of women do well the older they get in like ultra running and things, because they are so resilient. So maybe starting with you, Caitlin, what do you think about the physical mental split?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question. Do you know what, I'm going to go 60-40 to mental versus physical. I think you've got to have, like Lhea said, that strength and have done that training, but ultimately you've got to, from my experience, be prepared and sort of go into it knowing this is going to hurt and it's going to be inevitable that I'm going to face some demons, some internal demons on the track, and it's you against you. So I think in your training, I've learned that you've got to sort of put yourself through that. So there's been times when I've like had those moments where, I'm on the like running machine, I feel I'm going to fall off, and it's that headspace and it's that self-belief that gets me over the line. And I think it's that switch and knowing I've done it before, so I can do this. And that's been a big, I guess, benefit for me from the training. But I do think also taking, obviously this is very Hyrox race specific, but when it comes to applying this mentality and this training to other aspects of your life, it's such a superpower, because you actually are resilient. And when it comes to thinking about that goal that you want to hit, I guess you're more accustomed to realizing that it's a journey and it's going to take time. And I think that's helped me a lot when it's come to other things. Even this community, when it comes to building it, I think we're going into it knowing sort of what's involved when it comes to highs and lows of training, and when it comes to, I guess, the goalpost shifting. And yeah, so I can definitely see a lot of correlations to it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, very good answer. I like that. So what would you say, Caitlin, to yourself, like if you were struggling in a Hyrox race, would you say like, I've done this before in my training, so I know I can get through it? Is that your kind of like way to keep going?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, I have this like internal voice. I think, we've all been there, I'm sure. Like when you're a teenager and, you have self-doubt and, you think you're not good enough. And I was so good at putting myself down and sort of, making myself not feel that I was, inadequate or something. And I think I've learned over time all that energy could be shifted for good. And if I can make myself feel that bad, why don't I actually use it to feel good about myself? And so that's the battle that I have personally. And it's a sort of a let me show you to myself. And I think, having a coach that also can help you and understands how you work. So my coach knows that I sort of, sometimes need that accountability, but also his way of encouraging me is he'll give me goals and he'll sometimes say, I'm not sure if you're going to get there. He wants me to be realistic, but he knows that internally I'm going to show you that I can do that. And that's what drives me. And so that's the kind of relationship that we have, and that's what works for me. But it's finding what that is for yourself and what you are going to visualize on the course when it comes to it. Like, yeah. And there'll be, inevitably, like I said, there'll be tough moments, but look out for the Rox Queens around you, because like Lhea said, we'll be there to kind of push you through.
Yeah, everyone hyping each other up. Love it. What about you, Lhea? Mental, physical, what do you think?
I'd say basically same split as Caitlin. Completely agree with what she said. However, when you're having a bad race, I would say it's mental. Like it's 100% mental. It is a mental game. Like Manchester, when my injury flared up, I did have a moment where it was like, do I stop completely? After the burpees, I was like, do I stop completely because I'm in so much pain? Or do I just continue at a slower pace? Now, I'm not like the lads at the lunges and I'm going to do a hair flick because it's like, I'm not a quitter. I am not a quitter. Like, and I will never quit. Like, I would rather have no legs left and drag myself over the finish line to prove that I can do it, because I feel like me and Caitlin haven't really spoke about this, but I feel like we've got a very, very similar background in terms of mentality. Like, all of my life, I've never, like, I've had to be resilient. I've had shit. Sorry, you may believe that out, but like, I've had shit all of my life where it was like I was never good enough. I was always the bigger girl. I was never good in sport. I was never like, I was always on that back burner of everything. So I've always had to constantly prove to myself that I am good enough and that I can pull that out of myself and other people. So when it comes to Hyrox racing and realizing that I'm actually quite good at it, I'm like, right, okay, well, look at what you've gone from zero training, from being the big girl in school, like having that sort of inner dialogue of like, that is my, what is it called? That, like, that's what my identity was. That's what I used to identify as. And having that, it's a massive identity shift when you're able to then prove to yourself that you can do stuff. And it's like, yeah, I am an athlete. I am a good athlete. Like Bryony as well, you'll have had this identity shift as well. Like, I'm good at this. Like, we can do this. And as soon as you get that like first little buzz of like, I've just done really, really well, and I've proved to myself that I've done better than what my expectations is, it's easier to channel out them demons in the race. So that's why at Manchester I was able to continue, because it was like, no, like, even if you just finish, like, you've done better than what you would have done like if you hadn't have done it.
Yeah, and I think
And what I think.
it's so interesting listening to you guys so far, and I'm sure Bryony is going to carry on the theme, but like, you're talking about things that like intrinsically motivate you. You're not talking about anything outside. Like, this is really personal to you, to get yourselves from the start line to the finish, whether you have a bad time on any part of the race or something's going wrong. It's everything to do with like making yourself proud, or doing it for you, or beating your own time, or just getting to that finish line. It's not anyone outside, it's just for you, which I think is probably, well, it is the strongest motivator you can get out there. If you're doing it for yourself, you're always going to be able to motivate yourself. You're always going to be able to do that training session, you're always going to be able to finish the race, just like you said. And it's really cool to hear people talk about doing it for themselves rather than, you know, to get on a podium or to do that. Like, that's a nice byproduct, which you guys have, like, you know, you're exceptional athletes and you've managed to get there. But for anyone that's going to like start a Hyrox, then doing it for themselves and finding the intrinsic motivation to get to the end should be like the best start point, I would say.
Yeah, like I'm just going to add on to that as well. Like I say this to anyone who I have a consultation call, like you might not want to be a winner in terms of being a podium, but you want to be that winner for yourself. Like you always want to be that winner. And that's kind of like the mentality that I give my clients, but then also as well, like anyone who comes into the Rox Queens group chat with the newbies or the Northern one and like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like I don't know if I can push myself in these sessions, this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, no, you can do it. Just be that winner for yourself. And they're a bit taken back, like, what do you mean winner? And it's like, not podium win, like that winner for yourself. Like that's all you have to be.
No, brilliant.
Yeah.
And then Bryony, I'm guessing yours, like, I thought it was really interesting when we came to this question because you talked about your race where you obviously the lap like issue and then your head went. So how did that work out with your mental game, and how did that play in?
Riding in Manchester, things didn't go to plan. In my head, it was basically, would I feel worse not doing it? So very similar. Like at the end, like if I hadn't completed it, I would have been just so much more devastated than just getting a 5-minute penalty. Like, and I know, like I missed the podium, but I would have been so annoyed at myself. And like at the moment, like I did want to, I was like, well, what's the point? I was like, I'm going to be so annoyed with myself if I don't finish it. I was like, it's worth finishing just at the end, because like races do not always go to plan. And like I know like some people like have looked at me and they've seen like there's been a lot of podiums and things like that. So it's a lot more relatable when I was like, things do go wrong, and like I don't want people to quit, just keep going, because I'm just so glad that I did do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't always have the perfect race, and then it does show your mental strength to just carry on. You know, it might not have gone how you had planned and how you had like visioned it going, but the fact that you managed to kind of put that aside and think, no, I'm gonna keep going, like does show. But then that also plays into the, is Hyrox physical or mental or a bit of both? It must be a bit of both, otherwise that like you wouldn't have had those questions with yourself in your head if it wasn't like a mental game as well. Okay, so maybe we should go on to the cheeky insights now. If we could, I mean, it's not going to be like a quick fire round. It's okay. You can have a bit of background to your answers, but we'll try if we can to ask each of you at least a few of them. So Lhea, we're coming to you first here, because what shoes do you wear to race Hyrox?
Right, so with me, I've always worn the Puma DV8 Nitros, but I think as I've been running a lot more, I do need to change my trainers now. So like, I need to go and get my gait done again. I had a very sciencey gait analysis done the other day with my physio, which I highly recommend, by the way. If you need a gait analysis and you're in Manchester, I like, obviously you'll have my Instagram and stuff. Just drop me a message and I'll send you where I went for my physio. Holly's brilliant. And she's managed to sort my foot out. But I think I don't know what trainers I need now. So I'm shocking at this answer. So I'm going to be going getting some this next week. But the ones that are kind of catching my eye, and I think Bryony wears the Saucony ones. Yeah.
Only endorphin Pro 3.
Yeah. So like they're the ones that are catching my eye at the minute, because I'm seeing quite a lot of people racing them. A few of my own athletes, they wear them as well, and they say they feel like they're running on clouds. So it's like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give them a test try this next week, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Caitlin? Which ones do you race in?
So I have both of those. Yeah, I love them, and it's my guilty pleasure is trainers. Yeah, I think I use the excuse that we burn through them. I do think though your insoles start to wear down, and it's not you don't get as much support from your shoe. So that's my argument why they're on every Christmas and birthday list.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, and always a funky color as well. I think has to kind of stand out, like a lime green or a pink is pretty ideal.
The pink Nike Vaporflies went wild when everyone had them, and I was like, I want them. And then by the time I went round to go and get them, they only had them in white. I was like, damn.
Oh,
Everyone
damn.
gone. But yeah, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, did you say, Bryony? Loads of people are wearing them right now, so they seem super popular.
And it's probably worth noting as well, for anyone listening, like just because you're racing in those shoes doesn't mean you have to do all your training in those shoes.
No, that
like,
is one thing I'm gonna say. Like,
yeah, I think
I
maybe a
didn't.
lot of people think, oh, I need to wear these shoes all the time because that's what I'm going to race in. But like, definitely for slower, longer runs, and like if you're spending that much time on your feet, like getting the miles in, don't always wear those race shoes, because a lot of people's racing shoes will potentially have carbon in them or be a bit like stiffer and more racy. So yeah, save them for your tempo sessions or your simulations, and don't necessarily wear those shoes constantly, because that could cause you some problems as well. Okay, next one. What venue is your favorite Hyrox venue? So Lhea, go for it.
Okay, so the one I've raced in, and I absolutely London XL.
Oh, that was the one that's just been the latest London one.
Yeah, that was
huge, isn't it?
So organized, just good vibes. Like the course wasn't busy, like there was plenty of room. Before then I would have said Glasgow, but London just topped it for me.
Oh, cool. How about you, Bryony?
Malmo, and because
Malmo.
yeah, so the Copenhagen, well, it's a Copenhagen, but technically it's in Sweden.
Okay.
So I would say that event, but I think a lot of it's because like the UK events are so busy. It was like almost like a smaller event, and the run track was a lot clearer. So definitely my favorite.
Okay, cool. Caitlin, what was yours?
Mine's going to be Manchester. So I was judging in January, and I think all the courses are quite similar, but you have your emotional attachment to each one. And Manchester is where Hunter broke the doubles world record.
Yeah.
And I never witnessed sort of the experience of that happening, and it was just really exciting to see how far the sport's come. It was so busy, everyone was so hyped. There was like so much support for kind of seeing if they're going to do it, if they're not. And yeah, I think it was a real sort of moment for me to recognize the sport is growing, and you kind of come away and you're like, right, I want to see how far I can push myself to.
Oh, that's like it's quite inspiring. I mean, anywhere that Hunter's gonna be, it's gonna be electric, isn't it? He's like a crowd pleaser, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what about favorite Hyrox station and why? Caitlin, we'll start with you.
Good question. I think for me, it's going to be the wall balls. Because they're at the end, so you're like, yeah. I know that I can see the finish line in my right eye. I think it just plays to my strengths. Like I have height, which height that I have an advantage, and so I always set myself a little goal to see how many I can get unbroken. But I think also where it's placed, so you have like crowds either side, and it just kind of, I guess, feels like the race is almost complete. And it's quite a fun station to train for. So with my friends, we're always trying to go for like maybe the wall ball that's a bit heavier. I'm sure we all go into like gym environments, and you pick up the men's weight, and it's like, oh, what's she doing with that? Is she gonna be able to lift it? And then when you can, and people are quite find it quite cool, I'm like, yeah, that's me. So I quite enjoy that side of it as well.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Lhea, what about you? Are you in agreement, last station, or you got a different one?
I quite like the sled pull.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
you are a strength girl, aren't you?
Controversial one. I quite like the sled pull purely because one, it plays to my strengths, but two, that's when the race begins. Because like you've got the ski, the sled push, the sled pull, especially in the women's pro. Once them sleds are done and out of the way, that's when your race can really, really start, and you can really push your runs then. So that's why I prefer. I call that, isn't it? Really, sled pull.
I mean, Oh, I was gonna say on that, Lhea, like what's your technique? Do you like are you just all arms? Do you have to step
Oh,
back?
God,
Come on,
no,
how
no.
strong are we?
God, not just arms. I'm not Lucy Davis yet. Did you
Yeah.
all see the video of her, by the way?
I
How
know.
insane is it?
She's ripped, isn't
She's
she?
amazing. But I do the walk back, and
Okay.
because I use my glutes. I've got quite, not to blow my trumpet, I've got quite
You
big
got-
glutes,
you
so I
got-
You
use
got
them.
good bum.
I've got bum, so I may as well use it for something. So yeah, I do the walk back technique because, to be honest, it doesn't fatigue you as much. Your arms aren't going to get as tired, and as well, you don't get as gassed. Especially
Okay.
because if you think about the positioning and how your diaphragm's going to be kind of crunched over if you're leaning and pulling, you have to have a very big aerobic capacity for that. Especially then if you're going to peg it on your run, like it's just not happening for me that yet. One day, but not
What
yet.
about the rope? Where do you rope in between the
So
rope and
in
the
between my
side?
legs, in
Yeah.
between the legs, and then what I do with my trainers is I don't step it back, I drag my feet back so I don't trip on the rope.
Okay.
Clever.
Yeah, like it.
Clever.
Okay, Bryony, are we in agreement with either of these two, or are you going different?
Although I feel sometimes people don't consider that a station. But
What was that? Sorry, we missed the first bit.
I said running, but I feel not
Oh,
everyone
right.
considers that quite a station. But so can I get away with choosing running?
You can have
Yeah.
running as like you love running, but I do think you need a station as well. We've got to have a. I mean, if you like running, maybe burpees.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Funny enough on the burpee. So I used to hate that the most, and like my first ever burpee time was almost 7 minutes, and then in Glasgow it was down to 3:18. So
Oh,
now I'm
wow.
like,
Oh, wow.
now I'm like, I think I like the burpees.
Bloom. So come on then. You've got to share. We've just had a tip from Lhea about the sled. So, and we've had a tip from Caitlin about throwing heavier wall balls. So now we need a tip about how do you get your burpee PB down by about 4 minutes?
Because I hate them so much, I made myself do them literally like 4 days a week after a session. And then also I don't look at really. I like look down and just keep going and keep going.
Oh, fair.
And I don't let myself stop. Yeah, it's just like plowing through. But yeah, as I say, that was a PB, so I changed my mindset all of a sudden. I'm like, I like a burpee.
I
So
love that.
do you do the step in? Do you go down, step in, jump, go down, step in, jump, or are you full
Jump
bounce?
back, step in.
Jump back, step in. Yeah. No. Oh, that is impressive. Like, fair play. Basically, do more burpees.
Definitely. And do you know what's funny? Because so many people are like, what did you do? And I'm just like, I just had to do them more.
Yeah.
But that is the thing, isn't it? If you want to get better at something, like do it. And if you have a weakness, if you just train it, because most people all train what they love. So like anyone that's like into their strength will go and smash the strength out, where maybe if they worked on their running, they might improve their times massively. And then if someone's coming to Hyrox and they're a really good runner, maybe spending a bit more time in the gym and working on your strength is going to like, yeah, build up your game. But everyone just, it's hard to move away from working on your strengths to working on those things you really hate. But that's inspiration right there to go and get that done.
Absolutely. Okay, next one. If you could do a doubles Hyrox with anyone in the world, who would it be? And this can be anyone, dead or alive. Totally up to you. Into sport, not into sport. Caitlin, we'll go to you first.
I am going to say my mum.
Oh, that's
yeah.
a nice one.
Is she into sport? Would she do it?
Well, this is the thing. She wants to, and it's really I guess amazing for me because I think we have a lot of access to social media, and we've always, I think, grown up with being quite active people. But I think for her generation, like there's not as much education there. So I'm really trying to teach her about the benefits of like strength training in particular. And she is starting to no longer think I'm crazy, but starting to be more receptive to it. So I think that could be something that we could do together, which would be really nice. And for her to sort of get a real, obviously I talk about Hyrox the whole time, but for her to actually experience it herself, I think would be pretty special. So yeah, I think I might do that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit, and it's Karen, isn't it? Because you signed on to the
Yes.
podcast today. So come on, Karen.
You guys missed
We want to
out.
see it. We want to see
my
this.
my mum's Zoom account. I was like, this is so embarrassing.
I was like, hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
So come on, Karen.
Come on, Karen.
You're already on the pod, so you know you're halfway there. Is she a
She's
Rox
signed
Queen
up.
yet? Or
She's a Rox Queen, so
oh,
she did ask to
amazing.
join. I was like, yeah. So now I'm gonna say, because you joined, this is part of the initiation.
Yeah, you can for sure. Brilliant, Lhea. How about you?
Well, obviously I want to do a mixed doubles, don't I?
Oh, okay,
Oh,
who's it going to be then?
Well, I want my boyfriend to, but
What do you?
he's not. Yeah, but my plan is I'll book one abroad. I'll say we're doing a city break, and then just go on him a few weeks before that we're doing a Hyrox.
And just make sure he could do all the way up to the lunges, but as long as you do the lunges and the wall balls, you'll finish.
Yeah.
No, but if it weren't him, you can't not like Hunter. Like how you might die. You might die at the end of it. But
I mean,
like
you'd have to attach a rope to him or something to keep up with him on the
he'll
runs,
be
wouldn't you?
dragging me across the floor. That's what I'm
Piggyback, piggyback, it'll be
Yeah,
fine.
piggyback.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. But yeah,
Oh, that would be so good.
Has he ever done a mixed doubles?
Me, no, I just want to do it. Well, I do the pro weights. I may as well do them.
Has Hunter ever done a mixed doubles? Do we know?
I know he's not.
I don't think so.
I don't
But
think
I
so.
mean,
There you go. Lhea,
Hunter,
you're
if
up.
listening,
Oh, Lhea!
we need to start a campaign
Yeah.
for Hunter and Lhea to do a mixed doubles with Hunter
need to get-
carrying Lhea on his back.
let me just get a few kilometers faster first, and then we'll do that.
Get your trainers sorted. They'll add you, you know, they'll take a bit of time off your run.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's either
Either your
Pal-
boyfriend or Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, Bryony, what about you? Oh, we've got a
Your
delay.
mom and your
No, go on,
your
we got
mom.
you.
You had like your mom, and then you had like your boyfriend. Now, the first person that came to me, that I will change mine because Lhea went there. It's not Leah's boyfriend. So I think I'd have to just say then Lauren Weeks.
Oh yeah.
Lauren Weeks. I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it? You're still going to be absolutely like ragged, trying to keep on top of her. But yeah, fair play.
Yeah, I could have said someone like close. I could have said my sister, my boyfriend, but no, Lauren Weeks.
Yeah, and I think if you were going to do it, you'd have to like obviously go out and train with her for a while to get, you know, dialed in. So free training camp with Lauren Weeks, that can't be bad, can it?
Yeah.
If I have to.
Yeah, amazing.
They should bring that into Hyrox. Like, you know, forget world champs, you get the chance to race with so and so if you get a certain time. That would be really cool, hey?
Yeah, and then you worry for ages trying to keep up. Imagine that mental battle.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next one is, do you fuel for Hyrox? And if so, what fuel do you use and when do you take it? Caitlin, we'll go to you.
Yes, big on fuel. So for me personally, I have like a high carb snack like an hour before I train. So my go-to is like either like rice cakes with like peanut butter and banana, or like I have a shake which like is a high protein shake again with like oats in. But I personally, I've always had to have that before I train. Like I can't train fasted. I have to always have my breakfast before I train. I just feel like I get more out of my session. I'm quite new to the creatine hype. I was probably a late person to join in. I was a bit reluctant too. I was worried about like people told me about like the water is it the water weight and things that you put on, but actually it's worth. I found that it's worth it for that extra strength and I guess like endurance that I feel for it. So I'm big on that. My nutritionist is also helping me to refuel. I think that's an area that I forget about. So I just like go from the gym and go to work, and I've kind of forgotten that actually I need to replenish. Like Lhea was saying, like from a hydration standpoint, but also now I'll sort of, I guess it's preempting you're going to be busy, so preempting you're going to not be bothered to make something. So I always try and plan like the day before, like what my go-to snack can be. Maybe even just like a protein bar, so I have that and I can have it on the train. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. And then the other one, which works for me personally, is I actually take gels with me for the race, and I've used them in my training, so I know particularly after the sled is when I'm mostly fatigued, so I have one then, and then I also have one after the rower They're for me the ones where I need them most. Bit of a trial and error, because obviously you're trying to open it and it's like spilling everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's sticky.
sticky. Yes.
And what do you use? What brand do you use? Can you say? Or
Which brands do I use? They're just like the name escapes me, but I can send the link after. But they're just ones that I found like on Amazon, really. They just have like, you
that
know,
worked for you?
high caffeine, and then also like electrolyte tablets that I have in my water as well.
Perfect. Awesome. We do a similar thing. We both take talk gels round about the row. So
Yes.
sometimes a little bit before, sometimes before and then a little bit after. But yeah, we put a gel.
Sometimes I just take as many as I can.
Yeah. Just like overdose on them.
Yeah, like come on, it's got to help.
Where do you guys put them? Like, do you put them in your
in the short? We've got like tight shorts that have got a little pocket on, like the Lululemon ones, and the Sweaty Betty ones have got like little pockets on the side. So we kind of just chuck them in there.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a trial and error, really, just trying to figure out like where I can get to whilst I'm running. Yeah.
Cool. What about you, Lhea? Do you take anything during the race?
I don't take anything during the race because gels don't agree with my stomach. Like any gel I've tried, they just don't agree, and I just think I don't need to be rushing to the toilet.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly why you don't.
Different. Yeah,
that's why I don't do it. So so I don't do that. But bit of a weird one. Obviously, refueling is so important. Obviously, pre-race I'll have a high carb snack. Me, it's either a bagel, crumpet, or 2 crumpets, potentially like a banana as well, depending how I'm feeling and what time I'm racing. Post race, always go to is Lucozade Sport. Always have that because it's very fast releasing. But also as well easy digestible, so it's going to just get into your muscles straight away to help replenish. But then also Percy Pigs, like
yes,
that's the second time we've had M&S raised. We've had M&S jelly babies and Percy Pigs.
Percy Pigs at the end of the race, because the thing is you be that knackered, the very soft to chew as well, and also as well, why would you not want sweets at the end of your race? Like that's
Everyone
why
loves
I
a
can
Percy
get
Pig,
past the
don't they?
wall balls. That's how you can get past the wall balls. Maybe that's what the lads need to do.
I don't know whether they're as driven by sweets and chocolate and stuff though, so maybe it doesn't work for them.
Yeah, so that's what I kind of do. But yeah, it's so important to refuel as well. Like obviously it's touching kind of off that, but dieting around Hyrox, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Are you doing Hyrox to look good, or are you doing Hyrox to perform?
Yeah.
And actually, if people if you start to eat for performance, you'll actually find that everything else follows.
Yeah,
it
100%.
works just like shift your mind and work towards one goal, and everything will fall into place, because you will get stronger, you will get leaner, you will get faster, but you need to fuel your body to do it. I think it's such an important thing, especially as a female population. But it's been ingrained in us to be skinny, not strong, hasn't it? And now it's like turning. Yeah. So it is hard to get out of that diet mentality.
I think people don't realize how much they need to fuel and how much they need to eat. Like when you actually look at how much training you're doing and the output, like, you know, just a banana here and there isn't going to cut it. Like you do need to give your body what it needs so that it can perform and you can get stronger. What about you, Bryony? Do you fuel during Hyrox? Do you take any gels or anything?
I don't do gels, but I do always carry Haribo with me.
Haribo.
Yeah. Now my biggest thing though is sometimes I forget. Like I'm so in the moment of the race, I forget to take them. But on the whole, I do try to remember just before or just after the row, around there, and then maybe the odd occasion throughout. But yeah, like I had done a complete race before and then got to the end and I just had a nice snack because I totally forgot.
That's a good point actually though, because I think, Faye, did we not do a marathon and like set our watch to beep to take stuff like?
Yeah, every 20 minutes. So yeah, because people forget. I mean, I don't know, it could work for a Hyrox as well. I kind of just forget about my watch in a Hyrox because you don't look at your pace and stuff now. But like, yeah, you can, if you have like a Garmin watch or something like that, you can set it to like beep every 20 minutes or so, and that will just like remind you to take some fuel on, which can be really good because you do get really focused and really like centered. And I guess, I don't know, if you've got other people there, like you guys are supporting like other girls there, or you've got family there, even them just shouting to you like fuel after the row, just, or if you look like you're flagging, it just gives you that little bit to get to the end. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Totally. Okay, what about favorite training session? It doesn't have to be specific, but like a long run or an EMOM or an AM, like whatever. Do you have a favorite? Do you like to suffer? Do you not like to suffer? Caitlin, what about you?
I think for me, track sessions. When I get to the track, I'm like, you just feel like you might as well run fast. You'd be ashamed not to. So yeah, I enjoy those like interval sessions. Started doing some with the Queens, which has been nice. So yeah, running together. And seeing yourself get faster is pretty rewarding. So yeah, that's mine.
Oh, cool. Lhea?
I'm very similar. Like I like a fartlek session. Like I like that running fast and then having that little bit of a breather to run slower. So yeah, that's mine.
Just explain in a nutshell what a fartlek session is, just anyone listening that might not
Well,
know.
for example, what you'll do is it's intervals, but you're not stopping. So it's continuous movements, continuous rounds. So you'll do, for example, 500 meters at hard paced effort, like race pace or faster. And then you'll pull it back down and do like your steady to slower pace for the other 500 meters of that 1 kilometer. And you'll do that like, you can do that from like 3K, you can do that up to 8K, you can do 12, like you can do it to whatever distance you want to, but it's just a really good way to do it because in Hyrox, that's essentially what the race is. It's fartlek running because you'll have to run slower when you come out of a station and then run faster again. So it's just really good practice to do that.
And it's Swedish for speed play, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
basically just playing around with going fast, slow, recovering. Yeah. And you can do it with walk. If you're just getting into it, you could like run and walk. You don't have to sprint and then go slower. So you can, mix it up. It's a really good one.
Bryony, what about you? Favorite session?
I think we could like functional one. Something with like I just like love power clean and that sort of the strength element, but then having like that conditioning finisher, just like something that would like really pushes you, and something with like box jump, like dumbbell snatch, something like that. I do love having a good functional workout session.
Oh, ace. And a finisher is good, isn't it? Just to like push you that little bit further, test the mental strength. If it's programmed and you've got a finisher, will you actually do it? Like, will you push through and do that last bit? So yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've probably kind of covered this one a little bit, but in a nutshell, Caitlin, why should someone sign up for their first Hyrox?
Oh, good question. I think you should sign up for your first Hyrox as a bit of a, I guess, opportunity to see where you are with your fitness, first of all. It covers everything. So it tests your endurance, your strength, and then the mental side of it, I think, is very much linked to that. So it's kind of this is where you are. It's something to say that I've done it, I've achieved it. And then you've kind of got, I think for a lot of our training that I found, having a goal, having a race to train towards, like we said, it being performance orientated is so much more rewarding. So once you've done that, then you kind of have data and you have a sort of benchmark that you can measure yourself against. I think that's super rewarding. And then I think also, particularly for Hyrox, the community side of it. So knowing that you've got people there that will support you, I think is a very good reason to want to get involved. And I think we all are very much feeling this bug that you get. If you do it once, you're very much likely to want to continue.
Yeah, agreed. How about you, Lhea?
For me, it's more the fact that you can just prove to yourself that you can do the hard things. Like change that internal dialogue for yourself and prove to yourself that you can do the hard things that you don't think you could do. Like anyone who comes into my DMs and like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing one, I don't know whether I'll be ready. You're never going to be ready. Like I'm not around the ball. You're never going to be ready. So if you're thinking about doing one, especially a UK event, just book it. Think about how you're going to train for that afterwards, because the events sell out within 30 minutes, like we saw with obviously Birmingham just gone. And women's pre-sale, by the way, women sold out before it went out because of the pre-sale.
Amazing.
Yeah, because we couldn't get tickets. I mean,
So can I just say, girls pretty much run Hyrox at this point.
I think women's doubles is like the highest category. Like, it's
Yeah.
got the most people in Hyrox,
It's
apparently.
the highest amount of waves that gets set out, which is insane.
Yeah, it is incredible.
So yeah, if you're thinking about it, just book it. Think about how you're going to train for it after, and just prove to yourself that you can cross that finish line. Whether that is fast, slow, whatever. There is no good or ideal time to finish Hyrox. It's just whatever you can do.
I think everyone can appreciate that the journey's the same for everyone. The race is the same for everyone. It's a bit like a marathon, isn't it? You watch like the London Marathon and everyone's like, ace, the elites have finished, and like, fair play to them. It's incredible. But also everybody, like the whole way through, that's finishing from like 4 hours to 7 hours to like the guy that takes 2 days because he's walking in a spacesuit or whatever it is. Like, everyone's just like amazed that people finish and just can take their hat off, because everyone knows everyone's going to go through the same mental battle. And everyone's, yeah, I think it's like got a lot of similarities to like a marathon, where you should just sign up and it's your own journey, and everyone can appreciate how hard you've worked to get to that finish line. So it's super cool answer.
Finally, what about you, Bryony? Why do you think someone should sign up for their first one?
I don't think too much to add on to Caitlin and Lhea, apart from like, well, as well as just like the challenge of it. It is honestly, it's so fun and addictive. Like, I can't even begin to say that. Like, I don't know many people that's done one event and then that has like revisit like another event as soon as they've got home. Just not a UK event, because that's not possible. Yeah, just honestly, just give it a go. Just fun, and everyone that you meet, and like a big part of the Rox Queens as well, and like the community, and like you start seeing similar faces. When you're at events as well. So it's just a great vibe.
Oh, absolutely. Great vibe is a good way to describe it. And last question then, who would you like to see on our podcast if we could get anyone on? Bryony, we'll start with you. Is there anyone that you would like to hear from? It could be anyone.
Question. I would just have to say again, let's just go for Lauren and Hunter. Let's do it combined, both of them together.
Oh, can you imagine?
At the same time, you have them on at the same time.
Yeah, that would be cool actually, to hear from the 2 world champions. Do you think they can be world champions again?
Ask them if they'll do a mixed doubles together whilst they're on. What about you, Lhea? Who would you like to hear from?
I have to agree with Bryony. Like, what like a powerful podcast that would be. Like, obviously hearing it from elites. Like, I think hearing it from any sort of elite in any sport, it's just a game change. Like, it could be the mental shift that someone needs to be like, oh right, I can actually push myself to do that.
Yeah, no, cool, definitely.
And I think, Caitlin?
Yeah, from me, I guess similar vein, but thinking about the future elites. So we've got people in our community like Lucy Proctor, and it would be very interesting to kind of get a sense of where they are in their journey. And I know they're very much working towards the Elite 15. So I'd love to learn from them, because I think in our community, we're always kind of looking to learn from maybe the person who's a bit further on in their journey, and kind of learning what they do in their training and what we can take from that. So that could be really interesting. And yeah, it's a privilege to have people like that in the community, as well as all the other amazing Rox Queens as well.
Oh no, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. And we've been following her journey already. Just like, it's nice to see people at different like parts of their journey, which is like what we're trying to like bring, I guess, to the Hyrox community in a whole, is not just the elites, but everyone always wants to hear from the elites. And I mean, if we could get Lauren and Hunter on, we would.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, they'll listen to this and they'll probably DM us and ask to come on.
We'll try.
So
Yeah.
we'll see if we can make space for them in our busy diaries. But going forward though, if you manage to get a doubles Caitlin with your mum, we want to hear from Karen. Once she's done a Hyrox, we want to get you back on with Karen. And Lhea as well, same with your boyfriend, unless you end up doing it with Hunter. But if you do end up doing it with your boyfriend, it'll be cool to hear what he thinks.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you very much. It's been an awesome chat. We just want to give this opportunity to you guys to share your social media handles, anything you've got going on, anything you want to let people know. I know they can come to the Rox Queens on Instagram, and it'll be in your bio of how to get in touch. But yeah, over to you guys just to share where everyone can find you.
Yeah, so I'll go first. So yeah, like we said, we've got the Rox Queens page, and then I'm Caitlin Robbins as well. If you kind of want to see what we're doing in London specifically, like I said, we've got our first meetup next Saturday, but we're going to be trying to do them every month. So definitely join the group, and you'll be the first to know about other meetups. But yeah, the community is very much built by our ambassadors, so it'd be great for them to tell you more about their handles as well, so you can follow them for really helpful tips. I mean, I've learned so much today, so let alone what they're showing on their Instagrams as well.
Yeah, so like Caitlin said, like obviously you've got the Rox Queens, you can go over there, you can go into mine and also Bryony's bio where you can actually access the groups. And if you want to go to my Instagram, it's Lhea.highlifecoaching. But yeah, be good obviously for you all to like see from the tip side as well as obviously the queen side of things.
Awesome.
Everyone to join Scottish community, and yeah, and then also my Instagram handle is Coach Bryony, and you'll get everything else you need to know about me on there.
Awesome. So Coach Bryony is your Instagram handle? Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
right.
Well, guys, thank you so much again for your time. Thank you for everybody that's been listening so far to the Rad Hyrox podcast. We really hope if you are a female in the Hyrox space, you go and join the Rox Queens and see what's going on. For the guys, just wait out. You might see Lhea on a lunging station, but at the moment, it's a girl only group. If you like the show, please give it a follow. Please share this in your socials, share it far and wide so we can get more females to join these communities and we can support each other to get to that finish line. And also follow us at rad_chicks on Instagram to see who's up next on our podcast. And we will see you next time.